Welcome back. A cloud of suspicion still hangs over Hillary Clinton and her emails. This week, new reports emerged about her staff members while she was a Secretary of State cutting and pasting material from the government's classified network so it could be transmitted to her private email server. Then just last night, the former Secretary of State still had a very difficult time explaining what exactly has been going on.
You're willing to say it was an error in judgment? You should have apologized?
No, I'm not willing to say it was an error in judgment because nothing that I did was wrong. It was not in any way prohibited. And
not apologizing sooner, I mean.
Well, apologizing sooner, as soon as you can. But part of the problem, and I would just say this as not an excuse, but just as an explanation, when you're facing something like that, you got to get the facts, and it takes time to get the facts. And so when I said, hey, take all my emails, make them public, that had never been done before, ever, by anybody. And so we've been sorting our way through this because it is kind of a unique situation. I'm happy people are looking at the emails. Some of them are, frankly, a little embarrassing.
Really happy? Well, yesterday, former Congressman Tom DeLay was on the Steve Malzberg Show, and he talked about where the FBI stands now in their investigation.
I have friends that are in the FBI, and they tell me they're ready to indict. They're ready to recommend an indictment. And they also say that if the Attorney General does not indict, they're going public.
And for more on this, we want to welcome in former Assistant Director of the FBI, Ron Hosko. Ron is also the president of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Thank you again for joining us here on Newsmax Now.
Good to be with you.
Ron, a lot of media outlets picked up our Steve Malzberg interview with DeLay, including the New York Post. They say the Post reached out to some of their sources to follow up. An unnamed source said, "We have not seen subpoenas go out to Hillary's staff or Hillary's staff, including Huma Abedin, hire high-powered attorneys, signaling that an action has been taken." Ron, based on what you've seen, is there anything that would signal that any indictment is in the works?
Well, in the works, I think an investigation is in the works. However, I have not seen the indicators independently that suggest to me that there is a federal prosecutor been assigned, that a grand jury has been impaneled to issue subpoenas or to listen to evidence, to listen to testimony, that witnesses are being summoned before a grand jury. And, it's important for us to all know the FBI conducts investigations, but the FBI does not indict. They may recommend a course of action. They may push hard for an indictment. But I have not seen those indicators that tell me that an indictment has been prepared and we are going forward.
All right, Ron, something else that DeLay said is, and we've heard this from some of our other guests on this topic too, including Joe DeGenevo, former federal prosecutor, that if the FBI does not get an indictment, if they tee up an investigation, they give it to Loretta Lynch and President Obama and they squash it, there would be a revolt. Do you think that would actually be the case?
Well, it's important to understand, and I believe this to be true. It was certainly true when I was an assistant director. The organization is intended to be, and in practice, is very apolitical. They do have a sense of right and wrong, whether the facts suggest that a law has been broken, and that may go against the political party, Republicans, Democrats, or others. So FBI agents will take a position that's not going to be based on politics, and if they believe that there is firm and clear evidence that a person should be indicted, you can bet that people will be standing up saying, time out. The law has been broken. It has been broken most clearly. And I would think that we may see that from Jim Comey. If Jim Comey reaches that conclusion, I think we're going to hear about it and we're going to know about it.
Ron, I want you to explain something, if you could. There's been a lot of accusations about what was classified and what wasn't when it was in then Secretary Clinton's possession. But out of everything we know so far, do you see any kind of smoking gun or a potential smoking gun?
If the reports are true that on that server that she controlled, that was the repository for all of her State Department business and presumably personal business as well. If there was secret and or top secret and or now we've been hearing about these special access programs that sort of compartmentalized, very closely held information on that private server, to me, the law has clearly been broken. The notion that and the dissembling of and parsing of what she did, to me, is astonishing.
Right.
This is a tremendous, if it's that sort of classified information, it's a tremendous breach in our national security and should be appropriately treated.
Yeah.
Ron Hosko, thanks so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure.
Coming up next, Winter Storm Jonas may be over for the U.S., but the massive blizzard is now affecting our friends across the pond, making it difficult for planes to stick their landings. Plus, we're now just days away until the final GOP debate before Iowa, and the candidates know it. A look at the pressure that's mounting, the attack ads they're blasting, coming up.